we got to talk about something that as a straight cis dude, I don't understand it, okay? It just doesn't make any sense to me, all right? Now listen, I have seen a lot of discourse in the LGBT community, all right? I've seen a lot of the discourse, and I've more or less think I've come to a final conclusion on more or less what the ideal end goal of the LGBT community broadly should ideally be. That goal should be to create a world, to fight for and create a world in which everybody's gender, sexual, and personal expression, attraction, etc. is accepted and respected on the same level as anybody else's, as long as it's not hurting anybody and it is consensual. That's like a pretty, like, whether it be like cis people engaging in like gender non-conforming behavior, trans people, bi, lesbian, like whatever it may be, regardless of who you are, if your gender identity, sexuality, etc. basically just kind of, you know, goes out of what is considered the norm in our society, then the LGBT community's goal should be to make society better for those groups. Obviously, assuming said attraction is, you know, consensual and everything. Wait, Zan, you're straight? Yeah, I am straight. It's crazy, isn't it? I'm straight and cis. Who would have thought? Anyway, but despite all of that, despite the fact that from my perspective, the like ideal, reasonable, logical goal of the LGBT community ought to be, is, or should be to basically make it so that everybody feels comfortable being attracted to who they want to be attracted to, presenting their gender and sexuality how they feel comfortable presenting it, etc., all without having discrimination against them, right? And yet, I constantly see the LGBT community online getting into these vicious discourses, these vicious fights over whether or not certain groups of LGBT people are valid. The gatekeeping is actually insane, but I actually think the gatekeeping is at its most insane when it's not even really gatekeeping of the community, but gatekeeping of the idea. So I assume most of you guys watching right now are familiar with the concept of femboys. Now, femboys, to put it very simply, are, generally speaking, cis men who, not always, but generally speaking, cis men who present themselves more femininely, right? Like they aren't a trans woman. They aren't like feminizing for the sake of presenting as a woman. They are actively, you know, they're comfortable being a man and everything, but they present femininely. They break from the expectations our society has for men and do their own thing, which by all means is something that I think the left should absolutely, I think the left and the LGBT community overall should be absolutely in favor of. And for the most part, it is, okay? Like, for the most part, the left loves femboys, okay? When I say the word femboy in chat, like, at least 4 of you guys do the smuggy emote because you get horny hearing that word, okay? So, like, to be clear, most of the left does not have a problem with femboys, okay? However, there is still a section, a loud minority of the left, that seems to see femboys, particularly cis men that are femboys, as in some way appropriating the trans aesthetic or the trans struggle. Basically, like, have you ever heard a hotep say that, like, white queer people are basically, like, faking their oppression so that they can feel on the same level as marginalized POC? It's basically like another level of that, right? Where it's like, yes, cis people are presenting non-heteronormatively in order to get unwarranted bigotry to make themselves feel oppressed. It's the same stupid argument to try to rationalize people living how they want to live as somehow being a bad thing. It's trying to turn individual people living their lives and trying to be happy into some sort of broader political statement you can politicize and turn into propaganda. Pretty stupid. Anyway. Keffels, good friend of the show, recently did a debate with somebody named Polly People. I feel like I've heard this person's name before in a non-positive context. And I was sent this by my editor and asked to react to it on stream. I was asked to react to this on stream. It's a 30-minute debate. And it's a debate that Keffels had with this person. It's called Trap Debate with Poly People Goes Horribly Wrong. This is lunacy. I've watched it live, lol. I have not seen this before. I don't even know, like, how bad this gets. I've not even seen a second of it. All I've had is my editor send it to me and insist that I react to it. So buckle up. We're about to watch this shit. Let's go.
I mean, trans people do not own the word trap. That's not true.
Well, right, but, like, you know, like, white people don't own the N-word, but...
Okay. Whew. All right, we're off to an interesting start. Oh, boy. Okay, chat. What's the consensus on the word, on that word right now? Because my understanding is that it serves a double meaning effectively on the internet, right? The word trap initially would refer to, like, femboys who would actively identify that way. Like, I like to come off more feminine and then be like, but I got a dick. Haha, it's funny meme. Like, say what you will about it, but that was like a thing on the internet. I think that's where it came from, right? But very quickly, and by very quickly, I mean like the entire time I've been on the internet, this is what the word has been used to mean by the vast majority of people I've seen use it. It has been used against trans women. The argument is that trans women are essentially, well, it's a fucked up idea on several levels. So for starters, the idea of calling trans women a trap first presupposes that every woman is like a sex object that you are entitled to, right? Like almost like food sitting out on a table, right? And so if there was a woman that you were sexually attracted to and thus you feel obliged or entitled to sex with her, and you were to find out that she has genitals that you are personally not attracted to, you would feel so personally offended that you would call this a trap because you know that these women are supposed to be for you. You've been done wrong, right? Like it's a really fucked up transphobic idea, and it basically serves that double meaning on the internet effectively because you can't tell who's using it to mean what without proper context, right? Like you see someone online talk about how they love traps or something, and they could literally be a chaser, or they could literally just mean they like jacking off to femboys, you know? You never know. Transphobe or perfectly progressive. You actually can't tell. Usually it's a transphobe, though. In my experience, from what I've seen online, usually a transphobe. Usually a transphobe.
What the fuck does that have to do with what we're talking about?
This is going to get interesting.
Hello. Thank you for
reaching
out to me. Let me get this open here. Okay, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I believe this is the first time we've chatted, and so, you know,
Wait, this game actually looks good. I need to try this.
Thank you for considering chatting with me.
Oh, I figured you deserved at least a conversation on it. This topic seems to really upset you.
Oh, I would say that, well, okay, here's the most upsetting thing about it is not necessarily the topic itself. Well, you know, the topic itself is upsetting enough. It's the sort of the well poisoning, the sort of, you know, straw manning and dismissing of the very real critiques, I think, of Finn's content that have made it difficult. Like, you know,
oh, they're debating about Finster. Okay, I want to be so clear right now. Finster has literally gone. I've watched Finster go onto podcasts with a hostile audience, like an audience that is hostile to trans people, LGBT people, etc., go onto those podcasts, full getup, and just put his foot down and argue in favor of trans rights. Finster is not transphobic, and Finster is, if anything, a perfect, like, shining example of, like, what the left aspires for when it comes to like gender expressional freedom is not just going to lead to like whatever deranged conspiracies the right likes to dream up. It's literally just people being more free to express themselves how they want to. And people on the left, trans people on the left, are having a problem with this.
I've sort of resigned myself to people sort of responding to me saying, "You're just jealous, Polly," or now you're trying to control what people wear. You're basically a TERF. So like that's been, and it's come from trans people, and I know. I have to guess that that's been the results of some of the, not just you, but other content creators sort of not taking the critique seriously and being dismissive of them.
So what's the critique, in your opinion?
Well, yeah, okay. So if I could sort of briefly describe it, when you create content and you lean heavily into tropes such as like I'm a trap, like if you've built your entire existence on the hey, I'm actually a man.
For the record, by the way, this argument is complete bullshit with, like, if you consider the context of the creator that arguments like this are generally levied at, right? Like, how many times have you heard people say, Zan, if you make edgy jokes like this, then people in your audience are going to start to become more reactionary. They're going to think these reactionary ideas are okay. And it's like, do you really think people that watch my videos are, like, susceptible to backsliding to the right? Or do you think it's probably more likely that people who have a warped perception of the left are going to see my content and realize that perception is not accurate and perhaps become more amenable to left-wing ideas? I think the latter. And that is essentially the same scenario that is happening to Finster right now. Everything about Finster's content, like, I haven't even watched much of it. The only real Finster content I've seen is Finster talking to Keffels and Finster on the PKA podcast arguing with the hosts because the hosts are transphobic. Well, yeah, they're pretty transphobic. FPS Russia, I'm pretty sure, is a chaser, guys. I'm pretty sure our boy FPS Russia is a gawk goblin, okay? With that said, though, I've seen Finster go on there and argue with the hosts in favor of trans rights. Hell, Finster went on PKA and name-dropped Keffels and talked about how Kiwi Farms was, like, this shitty website full of deranged weirdos that were, like, harassing her and everything. Like, very much, like, not afraid to present left-wing ideas and pro-trans positions on platforms with a hostile audience. So we're not talking about somebody who just kind of, like, does the, like, haha, I'm a trap thing and just leaves it hanging there or anything like that. That is not what Finster does from, like, any of the content I've seen from Finster. It's like the context surrounding this is always one that would provide a wholesome understanding of why, like, trans people are valid. Like, I've never encountered a transphobic Finster fan. Not once. I haven't encountered a single transphobic Finster fan. Show me one. Show me one. Not a single one have I seen. They seem like they're pretty chill. I don't think they're getting the wrong idea.
But I look just like a woman, and I've, you're gay because you like me, or I've fooled you, and your entire presentation is, on the surface,
let him cook.
Completely indistinguishable from a trans woman's experience. I mean, I thought he was a trans woman. That's why I sort of let it slide, right? Because
I feel like if you did okay, why would I hold on? Like, well, like already you haven't done even the most.
Hear me out.
I am.
But yeah, we are like a minute into the debate, and Keffels hasn't talked yet. So I think yeah, it's probably her turn.
But, like, immediately, you're already saying you weren't even familiar with who Finn was or Finn's content before jumping to that conclusion.
Well, no, because I've...
Finster's literally dating a trans girl, and apparently he's transphobic. That's not a very good defense, right? On its own, it's not a good defense. On top of everything else, it's a good defense, but on its own, it's not a good defense. Because, like, come on. If we had, like, a conservative, like, transphobe who, like, said a bunch of transphobic stuff or something, and somebody said, wait, how can this person be transphobic? They're dating a trans woman. You'd be like, oh, well, because they're a chaser. You know, that'd be the instant reply. Like, you can be attracted to trans people and still be transphobic. In fact, most transphobes, I would imagine, are attracted to trans people. So yeah,
familiarized myself with it. Like I'm not just popping off here. What I'm trying to describe to you is I can understand why people might not quite pick up what I'm putting down here, because you sort of look at the content at first glance, you're like, this is just a trans woman being trans, right? Being edgy. But when you look deeper into it and you become more familiar with it.
He's dating a tomboy trans girl who defended him against femboy as a slur. Oh, fucking TikTok. On fucking TikTok of all places. How transphobic of the trans community to try to take this tomboy trans girl's femboy BF away from her. How transphobic of them.
This history, his entire platform is built off of transphobic shit. And so that is, you could tell me
How is Finn's entire platform built on transphobia?
Well, his entire thing is trap content.
This might be the gayest stream I've ever done. Or at least the gayest segment I've ever done. What do you guys think? What would you guys rate it? Let me know if you agree.
Like fooling people into saying, look, you're gay for liking me. I'm actually a woman, lol. I fooled you, sort of stuff. Like, how does the trans community not take strays from that? And how is it okay for him to lean into those kind of tropes when he doesn't pay the price?
I feel like my perspective on Finster, when I first saw Finster on PKA for the first time, was like, holy shit. So we've got like, so this is a femboy who's popular on Twitch, is like edgy and funny, and isn't like disliked for any of the stereotypical things lefties are disliked for, and like people are in real time, like you can watch as like Twitch gets more open to cross-dressing and like non-traditional masculine presentation in real time. Just all that I was seeing was like the outcome of Finster being on the platform was seeing more people, like normies on the platform, becoming more pro-trans, more open to like cross-dressing as a concept, not being like a bad or a weird thing to judge or look down on. Like, I don't know, like I've seen Finster come around as probably like if anything, a role model to some people that watch him. Or at the very least, somebody that like emboldens them, because like if a cis dude can go on stream every single day, full getup, goes outside and does shopping like that every single day, and just owns it publicly, and the internet is accepting it, like he's popular, that's got to be encouraging for some people, right? Like any trans people in chat feel like the positive response by normies on the internet to Finster has been somewhat like emboldening, at least. That's what I'd imagine. I've seen a lot of trans people in Finster's community, and his community, feel as though Finster has made them feel like being non-traditionally like just being queer or non-traditional in your presentation in any way is like okay, and people will accept you for it somewhere, right? I've seen people say that. So I don't know, it just feels so bitter when people go after him, you know? And I'm not even like a Finster fan. I do think Finster's pretty chill, but like I don't watch Finster like as like a source of content. I don't even know if Finster has a YouTube channel. I don't think I'm subscribed, but like, yeah, Finster just seems chill. It just seems so pointless to go after. It feels like every time a lefty figure gains a certain level of prominence, like once they start to like make waves in culture outside of the left like turns into the river Styx and just starts trying to seep the willpower out of every like popular up and coming lefty figure that could have a positive impact in the world. Like, we got to subject you to so much abuse from the left that you don't even feel like it anymore, you know? Like every time, like Keffels immediately, as soon as she like finished the Drop Kiwi Farms thing, immediately like the whole left is calling her racist and transphobic. It's just like right away. It's wild.
For it.
I mean, objectively, as someone who identifies as a cis man, if a straight man thinks that they're attracted to Finn, they're gay.
Do you understand?
Well, if a straight man wants to fuck Finster, they're gay. But I think if a straight man was like, "Oh, look, pretty lady," and then Finster was like, "Oh, how you doing? How you doing, mate? Name's Finn," and they were like, "Oh, you're a femboy. Well, I don't think that makes you gay to be attracted to the femininity being expressed by someone who is a man, right? Like that's the opposite of gay. That's literally the opposite of gay."
Understand that just saying it like that in such a bald sort of
Wait, I just realized, hold on. I know the best example of this. Cirrus, streamer, VTuber, avatar. Friend of the show, Cirrus. I don't know if you've seen his avatar. It is interesting. It's literally like a femboy cat girl boy thrall from WoW. Goes hard. Goes hard as fuck.
Way in isolation. Don't you see that why that enables
Show slime Cirrus? I don't know what that is.
Like not real, or that we're actually traps?
No, like I feel like they're gonna do this regardless. Because Finn is a man. Okay. Finn's always identified as a man.
Okay, but like transphobes don't care about that, and people who are not
well, yeah, transphobes don't care about that, so they would call Finster degenerate and send death threats and harassment Finster's way, just as they would any trans person. What argument is this? Ah, yes, Finster is voluntarily taking on the same levels of or at least approximate levels of harassment that any trans person would. Voluntarily. Yeah, Cirrus has a ton of VTuber models, yeah.
Who are not well, I guess, super in tune with trans issues are not going to think there's a dime's worth of difference between Finn saying, haha, I fooled you. Look, I'm just a man who looks every bit as much as a woman, and some other actually trans content creator that does the same thing or would do the same thing, except the harm that comes from that falls solely on the trans community.
So basically what poly people is arguing right now effectively is that if a cis man presents like very well femininely, like just very well passing as feminine or as a woman, and like guys assume that he's a woman and then like are attracted to him, and then he's like, no, I'm a guy, it's just joking, right? Like that automatically invalidates trans women in the eyes of any of those people. So like cis guys cannot do this, because the only logical outcome is one in which we see trans women lose validation by society somehow. This is of course ridiculous. This is a hypothetical scenario that's being brought up, when in reality the actual observable real outcome of Finster's content has been a normalization of like everything pro-trans in the more normie sphere, and even right-wing spheres, because Finster's pretty chill and is like able to get onto shows that are somewhat hostile politically and get opposing opinions out, which is pretty cool.
Or largely unfairly on the trans community, which is a much more marginal.
I don't think I've ever seen Finster say, haha, I'm a trap, you're gay because you're attracted to me, hoo-hoo. I don't think I've ever once seen Finster do that. But then again, I don't watch a lot of Finster, so maybe he has.
Community.
I really do not understand how you're coming to the conclusion that Finn increases the amount of transphobia in the world.
So if you if you lean into any trope, like if you lean into sort of...
okay, chat's telling me he doesn't do the trap thing, and now that poly people's saying lean into the trope, it's feels here. It's all like vibes and feels. Like it's all like what ifs and vibes and feels, and I don't know about the. There's no actual substance to any of this. I can already tell.
I mean, I hate to like use this as a crude example, but if you make sort of racist jokes that are obviously racist in a way to sort of straw man like racism, you're going to have racial minorities taking strays and being harmed by that. Like the furthering of tropes, like are you saying I need to prove to you that the furthering of transphobic tropes hurts the trans community? Like that's not a given to you?
So would you equally take offense when trans women who are doing...
So that is a completely loaded question that presumes things are true that are not reality. Basically, what poly people is asking, what if this could happen? Answer for that, Keffels. Like, it's a loaded question. All the presumptions made before the question are just whack.
Sex work play into these tropes on incredibly large platforms because they know that it sells.
Finn is not trans. Finn is cis.
Okay,
trans
so you're saying that when
trans women are doing that, and they are...
Listen, I do not want to do any speculation whatsoever on Finster's gender identity. And in fact, I'm not doing that. I'm actually doing the opposite of that. Who remembers when Philosophy Tube made that joke tweet about Trump transitioning out of the White House to, like, they're transitioning to the Biden administration from the White House? And, like, the way that the article was worded, like, Philosophy Tube quote tweeted it, and it was like, I wish her all the best luck on her transition, in quote tweeting the Donald Trump thing. It was like very clearly just a little funny joke, right? But at the time, Abigail Thorne was presenting as male. And because of that, you had shit tons of trans people on Twitter just hoarding up on Philosophy Tube. You could tell they were drooling at the mouth for any chance to cancel her. Just jump on her and just start spamming these, like, you're not trans. You don't get to make this joke. You don't get to say this. Oh, so it's funny because a transphobe is trans? That's the joke? That's what you find funny? Very cis transphobic leftist ally thing to say. Just like the most toxic vitriolic hate ever. And then 3 months later, Philosophy Tube came out as trans, and you go back to that same tweet, which is now deleted, unfortunately, but before the tweet was deleted, you could go back to it. Just a graveyard of deleted replies. Oh my fucking god. I think there's a Vosh video, and I think I did a video on it too, that where you can see this, just scrolling through this graveyard of replies that have been deleted post her coming out as trans, because their vitriolic, hate-filled replies look so fucking deranged, objectively speaking, just 3 months later. All because they felt so confident in attacking someone because they thought they knew somebody else's gender identity. You probably shouldn't do that. It doesn't typically turn out well for you when you just kind of, like, presume a bunch of shit based on, like, thinking you know someone's gender identity. It's the same thing when people call cis people eggs over and over and over again. It's annoying and disrespectful. Same thing goes for, like, presuming somebody is or isn't trans. Like, this, you can't base your, like, dislike of someone on what you think their gender identity is, because you don't know their gender identity. That's how gender identity works. Only the person who is in question truly knows.
Doing it, one, because they have to. They live in a transphobic society. They're doing the best they can. And it's, to say those two things are the same blows my mind.
No, because if you're making this argument...
Are you going to pretend like there's not a difference between those two things?
No, but I feel like if you're making this argument, it would actually be more harmful for trans people to do it because they're more representative of the trans community than Finn ever will be or is.
The average person who's going to
Yeah, wouldn't it be way more problematic if a trans woman was like imagine if Finster was a trans woman and then every time a cis guy in chat said, I think you're pretty, like Finster said, well, guess what? I'm a trans woman, and because you think I'm pretty, you're gay now. Ha! Like, that would be way more problematic than this. Jesus. Yeah, that would be way more problematic than Finster, who is a cis guy, saying that cis guys who are attracted to him are gay if they want to have sex with him, even if they know that he's a cis guy. Like, yeah.
Be willing to go along with transphobic tropes are transphobic people. Are you kidding me? So, like, it doesn't matter to the average transphobe whether Finn's doing or an actual trans woman are doing it. It's not a dime's worth of difference. But one person doing it,
this is very infantilizing.
Receives none of the fucking fallout from furthering transphobic tropes, and the other person is doing it because they have to and faces all of the fallout anyway. The fact that you are making
who's Finster? I'm lost. Let's find a picture of Finster. Let's find the iconic one. Here's the iconic one. This is what peak male physical condition looks like. You may not like it, but this is it. It's true. Sorry. Men, what's stopping you from dressing like this?
This argument shows me why you're not really thinking about this hard enough, and why I'm actually kind of disappointed in how you've engaged with this topic.
Polly is basically throwing all GNC men under the bus. It sucks to see. Listen, there are just certain people on the left and in the LGBT community that just, like, literally can't find meaning in anything other than feeling like they're more progressive than other people in the LGBT community. I swear to God, like, I'm not even talking about woke scolding. I guess it's like an aspect of it, but like, I'm talking about like inter-trans drama, right? Where like there will be people in the trans community on Twitter that want to out-woke other trans people so that they can like excise those trans people from that space, which is really dangerous because there aren't a lot of spaces specifically online in particular where trans people are welcome, you know? So like trying to turn the trans community into this nonstop battlefield of woke dick measuring, I guess, is does nothing but harm trans people and like destroy communities where they should be finding safety, security, and some level of acceptance when the whole rest of the internet is pretty damn hostile to them. Personally, I think. Listen, I'm cis, and even I nonstop see the transphobia on every corner of the internet, okay? I notice that shit. And, like, it informs how I think about these issues. I see how widespread and normalized transphobia is. I notice it. It doesn't, like, personally, like, harm me because I'm cis, but, like, I notice it, and I take that shit into account when I talk about these issues.
In its entirety. I thought you would at least be somewhat charitable to the obvious position here that, like, Finn doing something transphobic essentially is not the same.
Because I don't think.
I mean, it makes me depressed in the same way that seeing flat earthers like makes me depressed. When I see like a transphobe online, it's like the same thing as flat Earth. Like they are that incorrect on every level.
Finn is doing anything trans.
Like their being wrong is that frustrating.
Phobic.
Okay, well,
I'm not convinced.
Would you deny that he's furthering transphobic tropes?
No, I actually think that Finn is doing good at presenting a role model for gender nonconforming men and is making the world a less transphobic place with their platform.
True.
Okay, so then if you don't think somebody saying haha I'm a trap, if you
I have not heard this. I feel like I will say, like, there is nothing more like Poly People is literally emanating Tumblr particles right now. The huffing and puffing laughing as trying to make an argument. You guys hear it, right? You know, like, you really think that Finster, like the huff and puff laugh while trying to make the argument, that's very clearly nervous laughter. We got Tumblr particles going through the air. Yeah, it's this like whiny, you know, sort of aesthetic. Like, I'm so glad I never, ever, ever got on Tumblr.
if your position is as a fucking cis man that the strays that are obviously going to be taken by the trans community, he's entitled to do that for whatever reason you're coming up with, and I don't.
Because it's
I
just
can
like
see
this.
why people
this
are unreachable on this.
This argument just opens you up to such weird positions. That's the problem. Like, if you're
How?
gonna make this exact argument, then why aren't you going after drag queens? It's
like imagine going on to a stream. I really would love to see poly people go on this stream and argue the logical conclusion of this argument that gay men who are attracted to femboys aren't gay because they're attracted to femboys. That's the logical conclusion of that. Like, are you gonna erase like the being gay of gay dudes that are attracted to femboys? Because there are plenty of gay dudes, like not bi or pan dudes, but gay dudes, like gay dudes who are into femboys. I assure you, I've seen them on Twitter. I've seen them talk about it. They are very explicit in it. In fact,
It's like, oh, so you think being a woman is a performance? You think you can just like dress up like a woman and do a show and dance? No, that's offensive
Drag
to
queens
trans people.
don't say I'm a trap. Like it's
What are you
different when
talking about? I have
hold
seen
on.
so many drag queens.
some of them definitely do. That is, like, listen. You can't say no drag queen has ever said I'm a trap, but I can pretty confidently say at least one drag queen has said that. Like, those are two very different levels of assumption we're dealing with here.
Queens say I'm a trap.
Okay, but they're not like looking. The drag queen argument is so stupid because drag queens like go out of their way to not even look like cis women. They're like caricatures, for fuck's sake. It is an artistic endeavor.
Wait, what? We're shoeboxing. Like, is that the term shoeboxing, where you like try to like minimize? We're shoeboxing drag. There are tons of drag queens that do not like purposefully overdo the feminine presentation in order to look like they're overdoing it, so to say. Like, there are plenty of like drag queens that if you looked at them, you'd be like, a cis woman, or a trans woman. Like, absolutely. I don't even watch drag queen shit. I literally like know maybe, okay, how many drag queens can I name? I can name Alaska Thunderfuck. I can name, fuck, you know the saying. You got so many little gay people counting on you in your computer right now. You gotta name at least two. Come on. Jinx Monsoon. There you go. 3 or 2. That's 2. I literally only know 2 drag queens. That's it. Yeah, there you go. Got 2 from me. Anyway, I know for a fact that there are drag queens out there that definitely have said that. So that's a little bit authoritative to say. Trixie Mattel literally has a motel in Palm Springs. Oh, which one is it? That's cool. You know, Buck Angel has a weed delivery service out here in Palm Springs. Before you ask, no, I have not used that service, as far as I know. I actually don't know what it's called. There is a lot of dispensaries out here. I've never ordered weed. I always just go to the dispensary, so.
What Finn's doing is essentially saying I'm a trap and winking and nodding and looking exactly like a trans woman, but saying I'm not.
What do you mean by looking exactly like a trans woman? What does a trans woman look like exactly to you?
Well.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh no! Oh no! Do 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 do.
Okay, so I should say a transphobic caricature of a trans woman is something that says, I trapped you, you're gay now, and is clearly like doing it to appeal to transphobic sensibilities. And what makes it problematic is because he is not trans and he doesn't suffer the consequences of those actions. Like, there's very good reason to critique his behavior on a fucking equitable sort of don't punch down sort of basis. Like, it seems relatively obvious to me that, like, if you are in a more privileged position, why is it acceptable for you to engage in behavior for clout and to grow your platform?
Oh my god, everybody this is one of the biggest problems. So I can't tell if it's virtue signaling and they're just lying about what their motives are, or if this is actually part of the reason why the left is so bad at, like, having any level of cultural control. People on the left will literally shame you for being successful and doing things that make you successful online for the principle of it. It's like people on the left are obsessed with the left being the cultural underdog. Stop this. This hurts people. Okay? The more culturally accepting that even the internet gets of marginalized people, the better. Every less racist, every less transphobe, every less homophobe, every less ace or aerophobe, every fucking whatever it may be, every less bigot out there is a dub for the left and for every marginalized person who could have potentially been a victim of their bigotry. That is a dub. I'm sorry, but it is. It's a dub.
In ways that are obviously going to have fallout with people far more fucking far more marginalized than you and far more subject to those same sort of transphobic attacks without even asking for it. People call me a trap and I don't even have to do any trappy trapperson type shit that he does.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's making it easier for them to say, you're all traps anyway, you all look the same to me. This is an easy argument.
Calling something... That is very Tumblr-y. I'm assuming Poly People is like has like a background on Tumblr. I feel like we're seeing all the stereotypes that I've ever heard about Tumblr come out right now. Is this what Tumblr's like? Is this what it was or is? Imagine thinking the right won't genocide Finster along with the rest of trans people. Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but like Finster would not be safe, okay? I know we see the memes where it's like, who's seen the image? I'm pretty sure it was Turkey Tom who posted this image and just captioned it, "Everything sucks." And it was an image of like a Discord message of like thigh pics with like long like thigh-high socks that a femboy had presumably taken and had written, and like the legs are over a Black Sun Nazi flag, and the caption is, "There can only be femboys under a black sun." And Turkey Tom just captioned it, "Everything sucks." That is a good post. That is a pretty good post. There are Nazi femboys. That is the only bad femboys are the Nazi ones, because there are a fair amount of Nazi femboys out there.
Argument.
For some
reason.
I
don't think that.
Actually, no. I know exactly the reason. Nazis are all gay. All right? Like the ones that are like die hard, dyed in the wool, full on Nazis, like they are all gay. To be very clear here, the amount of hate you have to have inside of you to fuel Nazism, if it's not driven by misinfo that you've been like taught by demagogues, if you are the demagogue who's teaching the misinfo, that hate has to come from somewhere primal, okay? And where better for that primal hatred to come from than weird, like unaccepted, buried sexual attraction they can't come to terms with, right? Like how many times have you seen like a trans woman who does sex work, like OnlyFans on Twitter, like have a tweet go viral, and then a bunch of transphobes send them hate, and then they make another post like, "Wow, why are these people literally sending me death threats on Twitter, but then subscribing to my OnlyFans in droves?" And it's like, because where do you think obsessive hate like that comes from? It's not natural to hate somebody like that. It's a twisted perversion of sexual attraction that they can't come to terms with. They feel shame. A shame in large part instilled by society and the social spaces they buried themselves in. That's just my theory personally, though. I guarantee, like, all the, like, OG Weimar Republic, Nazi Germany Nazis were all gay as fuck as well. Like, all super, they were having, like, orgies and, like, not just being gay, but being degenerate as well. They call being gay degenerate, but that whole degeneracy thing is 100% projection. Just look at modern day Nazis. They aren't just, like, in the closet. They are also actually degenerates. Like, being gay or trans or whatever isn't degenerate. They are actually degenerate. Who remembers the leaked, Lauren Southern leaked the DMs that Paul Joseph Watson sent her? The most pathetic, like, simpy, degenerate, like, basically, like, say what you want about Lauren Southern, but she did out a lot of the really fucking degenerate shit the Nazis online, these right-wing, like, trad-cath Nazi types are really getting up to behind the scenes. They are the actual degenerates. It's all projection. Every conservative accusation is an admission. Remember that. It is true. It's not a meme. It is through and through true. Remember that.
Like, I think that regardless if Finn does
what? If you see some random conservative just drop out of nowhere calling a trans person like a pedophile, you need to be really careful around that guy, because that came from somewhere. All right? That came from somewhere, and it's probably projection. It almost always is. I'm just saying, almost every transphobe is a pedophile. It just keeps happening.
Yeah, I guess that's, you know, like, what do you, okay, all right, I guess you don't think that, but that's not a response to the
I was
critique.
about
That's
to
not a
formulate my
helpful-
response.
All right, go ahead.
Like, as I said, like, I think that transphobia is going to be a thing regardless of whether or not Finn does what they're doing, which has very little to do with the trans community. Like, Finn's made it very clear, I'm not a trans person, I am...
Yeah, what Finn's doing does have very little to do with the trans community, but regardless, the effect that it is having on the trans community is objectively positive. The only people who can try to claim it's negative are people like this, who are, like, actively having a meltdown and feeling personally offended by somebody who is having no impact negatively on them, realistically speaking.
I'm just a cross-dresser. Weirdly enough, one of your mods actually said, Finn isn't gender nonconforming, a cross-dresser, or a femboy. He isn't doing this because he likes to dress this way. He doesn't dress this way unless it's for work. It's like, why is it that your community is...
That's also not true. I've literally seen Finster tell stories on PK about going on flights wearing the whole getup and going shopping wearing the whole getup. So, like, nope. That I know is wrong. I'm not even a Finster fan. I just saw Finster tell some stories about it on a podcast.
Is trying to police a gender nonconforming person's expression. Why is that okay?
Well, I could go back to what I just said. What's not okay is furthering transphobic tropes as an edgy way to grow your platform.
So wait. You're just going to completely ignore that. That it's like...
Yeah, she is going to completely ignore that. That is every woke school debate. If you can actually get a woke school to debate you, you will not get them to engage honestly. They are going to try to, like, work you around in a, like, you want to know what woke scolds are like when debating them? It's like a dog on a long leash that's, like, spinning around you trying to pull the Star Wars, like, knock down the AT-AT move, you know, where they use the line to trip them. Basically, when a dog tries... debating woke scolds is, like, the debate version of that, right? Where they're trying to wrap you up in a web of assumptions and lies and, like, slippery slope arguments as to how what you do could somehow cause harm that has never actually been demonstrably proven or shown or demonstrated in any way, not even a single example. But they want to get you into this mind space of a theoretical possible scenario that isn't actually realistic and has never happened, because in that fantasy world that they want to get you to engage with, then they can make you look like the bad guy and they can look morally superior to you. That is the goal.
Your community.
What are you talking about? Are you trying to me to answer for somebody what somebody said? I mean, fuck. Do you want me to go through every dumb fuck? I mean, I don't even think that's.
It's
a bad
your
point
mods.
necessarily.
You don't think it's
you
a bad. You don't think it's a bad point. You think that it's like okay.
Watch how quick. Look how quick the woke scold immediately falls to, like, a conservative Nazi centrist, all the in between response to a lefty like criticizing them for having, like, bad people in their audience. Like, oh, I can't control who's in my audience. How I can't control who's in my audience. Keffel's like, hey, one of your moderators said this bad thing, and the response is, I can't control my moderators. I can't. How am I supposed to know what everybody who moderates me knows? Like, immediately default, instead of like owning it up and saying, oh, okay, I'll probably demod that person or reprimand them, just immediately playing the same defense card that people on the right do for themselves.
You want me to answer for everything that everybody has said that you've sort of said? Get the
how ironic.
Fuck out of here. Why don't you just
wait, when did I say that?
This debate is extraordinary.
I never said that.
Why don't you engage with what I'm saying? Or I could explain to you why that statement on Twitter may actually have some merit, but it's going to have a more nuanced discussion. But we can't even get there when you are unable to accept that somebody who does transphobic tropes as a cis person has
notice that does transphobic tropes as a cis person. Not even willing to argue on the premise of whether or not these are transphobic tropes. They aren't, by the way, but the entire argument presupposes that Finster relies on quote unquote transphobic tropes to make a living. That is the entire leading question and presupposition that poly people is trying to trap Keffels in. It's very dishonest, but very common among woke scolds.
It's problematic content. Like, if we can't get there, then we're not even at stage one. Like you're just sort of making yourself completely unable to understand.
Is a gender non-conforming person cis? Like, where are we drawing the line on what cis is?
Finn is not a trans woman.
Yes.
Finn is not going to be harmed by the furtherance, or at least will be far less harmed than
Finster could absolutely be hate crimed while out in public. Absolutely could be hate crimed out in public, and absolutely gets abuse online for publicly being a femboy on a right-wing gamer-dominated platform. Hey, guys, do you know who the biggest political commentator is on Twitch? It's not Hassan. It's Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross, Sneeko and Andrew Tate's little butt boy. That is the currently largest political commentator on Twitch. Okay, so when we're talking about a platform like that, all right, we're talking about a platform like that. I guarantee you, Finster is getting regular transphobic abuse from people that think Finster is trans, okay? Absolutely. Just because Finster is open about being a cis guy does not make him immune to the non-stop barrage of abuse. Anybody who is not perfectly conforming to the conservative ideal of what gender expression isn't also getting shit tons of hate from them, you know?
Trans
I guess what they do all day.
Furtherance of transphobic tropes.
Okay. Does that make
trans Finster haters be like, you will never be a woman?
The problem.
Okay, but does that make Finn cis? So like a non.
Okay, so I don't know why you're playing word games with me.
I'm not playing a word game.
He's not a trans person.
I never said this.
Not okay. Then what are you talking about then?
I'm asking you to define what cis is, because you're trying to use Finn as cis as a way to dismiss Finn.
Yeah, but he says he's cis. He says he's cis, and he puts up on his, and the way he proves he's cis is he pins on his Twitter or whatever. Here's my birth certificate, and I'm a man. Like one that has a two-prong effect. Is one, it says that I'm cis, but it also winks and nods to his trans audience. Look, I care about my assigned gender at birth just like you do.
So what you're seeing here right now is a desperate attempt to warp an objectively good thing that Finster has done into a bad thing in real time. It's quite desperate, and it's not. We'll see how it works out for poly people.
You can't. I mean, come on.
Let's see how it works out.
Are we going to be stupid and let's just sort of let him have it both ways?
No, I'm not being stupid.
Because he's a large content creator.
No, I'm not being stupid. I think it's incredibly offensive.
I hate being dogpiled as much as the next person, right?
Right, but it's you're willing to, with your community and your mods, those are your mods, who are just okay, I can police the behavior. of gender non-conforming people. It's completely okay to do. And when I asked you about this, you just get angry and say, oh, you think I can police everything? You think that I can just control everything? But it's like, no, these are the people who moderate your community. You have a responsibility for that. They represent you.
Well, okay, but hold on a second. Like, the essential argument.
Oh my god, this is literally, we've now gotten to the point where the argument with the woke skull is now indistinguishable from an argument with a Nazi. Or not even not a Nazi necessarily, but more like a centrist chud YouTuber, like say Count Dankula. You know, like, what do you mean? I have to care about the contents of my audience being filled with right-wing, far-right, transphobic people. What do you mean? I can't control my audience. Like basically like that argument, literally.
Here is not changed, and that tweet is essentially in line with what I'm saying.
So you're saying that Finn is not a cross-dresser?
Oh my god, is the raft sinking?
Finish. The essential problem, okay,
I didn't sink.
Whether or not he's a cross-dresser is saying he's not a cross-dresser. By the way, I assume the sentiment behind that is that what he's doing is essentially appealing to the transphobic sensibilities of the average person and furthering transphobic tropes for content. That's not what cross-dressers do. Cross-dressers dress in gender non-conforming ways and play with gender because they are expressing themselves. They are not trying to grow their platform at the expense of more marginalized people, right? Just to sort of say, Polly, you're trying to police people's presentation is incredibly bad faith. Like, well,
it's just two completely different arguments you're sort of smashing together.
Well, no.
Did I just hear average person is transphobic? Yeah, I'd say the average person is probably at least a little bit transphobic. Like, I'd say the average person has ranging, like, I would not bet the average person is pro-trans. I think the average person is, like, neutral to okay with it. Like, they don't really care. But I think there's probably way more people who are just kind of ambivalent, like don't really mind, don't really care, you know, who mind, not them, so they don't really mind, it doesn't hurt them, they don't really mind. Then there are people who hate trans people, and probably more of them than people who are, like, super pro-trans, right?
Well, that's what you're doing. So
how am I doing that?
Well, you're having a difficult time trying to like explain why furthering transphobic tropes is not that bad, and the only thing you're saying is I disagree and you can't prove that, which is wrong, and you should never force some.
No, what I think is that you're trying to say that no,
are somehow harmful to them.
Like, what you're trying to do is pretend that trans people are somehow the arbiters of gender nonconformity when other people can express gender nonconformity however they like.
I mean,
it's gatekeeping.
No, that's a straw man. Like, trans people.
Okay, I love how she said it though. No, that's a straw man. There's just something about the way she said it that was really funny. Oh my god, Xander, please react to the other one where Polly and Finn actually talk, please. No shot. Wait, real? Real? Holy shit, it's real. Oh my fucking god, it's real. 2 days ago? Ayo, 2 hours? Oh my god, we're gonna be here for a while, aren't we? Oh god. Cherry, we're gonna have to load this one up with mid-rolls. Oh jeez. I'm gonna have to turn up the speed a little bit. 1.5 speed. Okay, this is the one where Finster actually debates poly people. Let's do this shit. Holy fuck. Oh my god. That's a straw man. You know, okay, let's do this shit. Let's go. I'm ready. I want to see this.
Stream, I had that debate with poly people, and holy shit. If you saw the debate yesterday, either through the stream or on YouTube, Polly lost her shit. It was, like, insane. Like, I'll just show you, like, the intro part of that, just so you have, like, a little taste I mean, trans people do not own the word trout. That's not true.
Well, right, but like, you know, like white people don't own the N-word, but that doesn't
What the fuck
make
does
it
that have to
good.
do with what we're talking about? Like that, the entire thing went off the fucking rails. It completely went off the fucking rails. I've watched that debate over again now, like a couple times, and I'm still shocked because I was really trying to just talk to Polly and get into the nitty gritty of why she was so upset. But every time I asked her a question, she saw it as some sort of rhetorical trap. Like when I asked her if she could define cis, so we were both working on the same definition, she
Good wordplay.
lost it. Absolutely lost it. Like she was yelling at me to get the fuck out of here. She was literally screaming at me at certain points. And Finn watched the debate. Like I got a message from Finn, and Finn was saying that it was kind of insane. But, you know, Finn's a really good guy, and my understanding is that he wanted to try and quell the situation, so he went on Polly's stream. But apparently the conversation went well. Polly did not treat Finn even half as bad as I was treated, which really leads me to believe this was
Oh. Somebody's clout chasing.
entirely a play for clout on Polly's part, or that
Yep. When you're a content creator, dude, you just know. There's just like an alarm that just gets set off, and you just know. The fucking clout chaser alarms, bro. Yep. Yep.
Polly has an issue with other trans people. I don't know. One of those two things. But I think it'll be fun to go over. It's quite long. Why would Finn even accept this? Personally, I think this is a thing that Finn needs to stop doing. Finn is kind of like me. Finn wants to be liked by people. That's a pretty normal human thing. People like to be liked. They don't like it when people hate them. But I think the problem is that the more that Finn engages with this, the more it's going to continuously
I will admit, I do like when bad people hate me. I have always enjoyed that.
happen, because if people think they can get a reaction out of Finn, they're going to keep doing it. This is what I learned with the Kiwi Farm shit. The more you react to them and give them attention, the more energized they'll be, because they realize that you are willing to give them attention.
There you go. You're gonna have to figure me out.
Then again, all people who don't like me and all people who hate me are bad people by default, so... In fact, I like it when when anyone hates me, so there you go. That's the hack.
Yeah, I look like shit.
There you go. Look like shit. Never.
Okay.
Never. You look great.
Thank you. You too. Your stream. Like 3x videos.
All right.
Anyway.
So hey. So
Wait, is this Keffels reacting to Finster debating poly people? We should just react to the debate, right? Or do we not want to give poly people a view? Maybe we don't want to give poly people a view. We are too deep. Are we too deep? Hold on, let's skim. Okay, we've literally been doing this for an hour, so let's skim this for like the exciting parts, okay?
surely you have to understand why like people might be like, you know, come on, ratchet it back a little bit. Like you don't have to go that hard.
The bio thing is just the bio thing. I guess it's hard if you go look at just the bio. It's sort of hard to argue that it's
I know
comparable.
you have a big brain reason why it's okay, and some people might buy it. I'm just saying, don't go that hard, right?
What? Holy sh...
Please.
But by the way, this is like why you... I don't really think Finster's like a debate bro, but this is why if you're not like equipped for debating, you shouldn't debate a woke scold, because they will try to talk down to you and lecture you rather than debate you. They see you as lesser than them, both morally and as a human. They see you as lesser. They see you as like a lesser person who at best is to be lectured and talked down to, which is what's happening to Finster right now. Don't let them do it.
You can save yourself a lot of trouble, you know, when you don't put like a transition timeline. Or here's my birth certificate.
Well,
Like,
that's
like get out of here. Dude. Yeah,
the
okay.
birth certificate one was funny, and I maintain that. But the trans timeline thing, I didn't like. That wasn't meant as that, and because there was a bit of a misunderstanding there. Like,
Or the
that was
egg
main thing
jokes.
people had an issue with the egg jokes.
Yeah, right. I mean, come on.
Oh, that's my chat though. That's not me. That's my
Well,
chat.
right.
What? Oh my god, my chat jokes about me being an egg. I actively like disincentivize it too, but like, I'm sorry if you've got... Guess what that means? Hey, guess what having an audience that constantly calls you an egg means? Guess what that's indicative of? That's indicative of having a fuck ton of trans people in your audience. Generally speaking, yeah. Yeah. Which is what I'm getting from that. That's indicative of the fact that Finster probably has a fuck ton of trans people in his audience.
But they're picking up what you're putting down.
I will.
You know, like that's like saying it's not my fault. My chat is radicalized against this streamer or whatever.
That's so fucking...
Did we not just go over her making that exact same argument about her own moderators? About how she can't control her own moderators. Egg? Egg basically means like you know how like an egg hatches? Like you have an egg and then it hatches into like a creature, right? The idea is that an egg is a pre-transition trans person who's like secretly trans, and they're eventually going to They're eventually going to hatch, and the egg will crack, and out will come the trans person that is inside of the egg. That is the explanation behind the anecdote. Is that the term for it? The metaphor.
Crazy that she wants Finn to be responsible for Finn's chat, but also she said that she couldn't be responsible for her mods.
What I focus to spend time, how I focus my time, the things that I say, the arguments I make, do color the way people see things in my chat, right? So like if a person in my chat,
idiom, thank you,
like tries to make a point, it's not a defense to say, well, that's their opinion. Like I have nothing to do with that. You know, when my chat makes egg jokes, like that's like it's wrong to say that has nothing to do with you.
The egg's an interesting thing. So I don't actually know a good way around that. Besides like completely moderating against it, but I think it's a relatively harmless joke to me, because so the reason why it always comes up, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on it, because this is interesting. I don't know how to place this, because no one's ever talked to me about this before besides you.
Yeah, okay.
So the way that usually works is I'll stay like, look,
I feel so bad that Finster's such an honest and good person who's being taken advantage of by a dishonest woke scold, who is in no way acting in good faith, and the only goal of this person is to gain clout and to harm Finster's reputation from all of this.
Very boring, but there is a lot of aspects of femininity that I enjoy.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
fun, you know. It's nice looking, pretty. And
sure. Who doesn't like that?
Exactly. Now, with stuff like, and I'll say something more like directly, like it's harmless to you. Yeah, it's like, well, that's sort of what I mean. That's why I want to get her opinion on it.
Yeah.
Which was like, sorry, I was reading a chat.
Never do that.
I'm sorry, but like I'll say like, so I've said stuff like, I think even when I'm done streaming, I sort of really like getting the nails done. I think they're cool, and I think the eyelashes sort of add to my look. I don't know. I think they're pretty dope, and I'm gonna keep the long hair too.
Yeah.
I've said like shit like that. The people tend to go like, have you never sort of questioned?
We literally just watch poly people say, he doesn't do this because he likes it. He does it for money. He does it to monetize it. Meanwhile, Finster's like, I like the long hair and the nails and the lashes. I actually like them. Yeah, it's
that you might not be as like cisgender as you thought, and that's the egg joke thing. Unless there's any insanely deeper meaning, but the trans in denial egg joke thing, I don't know how it would be harmful of other people.
Well, okay, so it's a close call.
But also,
because
would I stop saying stuff like that, or would I moderate against people responding that way, or how would I go against it? But also, I want to know how it hurts people.
Yeah, so this is this is not an uninteresting conversation, and it's not without nuance, right? Because if the question is, are you doing something?
Now we got to bring out the nuance. When Finster's actually there and can say, wait, my community doesn't do this, or my community doesn't do that, then now it's time to roll out the nuance that we couldn't have when talking to Keffels.
In bad faith or not, the problem with what you're doing, if it is a problem, would be more related to what you're doing looks essentially like what an egg would do. Like I could.
Wait, is she not going to answer the question again?
Okay,
she doesn't even have a point.
I'm done. All right, it's just it's so nebulous. It's all just meant to be gatekeeping and moral superiority. Okay, Keffels is based, Finster is based, I am based, Poly People is not based. That is the moral of this story, and actually no, that is the lesson to be taken from this. The moral of the story is, people's gender identity and expression is none of your business and none of your beeswax, okay? Yeah, I feel like all of us on the left should have basically agreed on this a while ago, that like, as long as it's consensual and they are an adult human, you can fuck who you want, you can be attracted to who you want, you can present yourself how you want, you can marry who you want, you can be in a relationship with who you want, you should be able to have a family with who you want. All of these things should be completely allowed and accepted by society, not just legislatively allowed, which of course they're trying to make not the case right now, but also socially allowed, right? Because and the right loved to do this back when they were a little bit more legislatively on the underfoot, back when minorities had more rights. They used to say things like, what rights don't women have? What rights don't trans people have? What rights don't black people have? Well, now that they've taken power for some small amount of time on a broader legislative level, we can see they've gone about instituting more harsh voting fraud quote unquote, initiatives that really just end up with them keeping brown people from voting in red states. They have basically declared war on trans and LGBT people as a whole in red states, and outside of red states. They have basically gone about, they've taken away Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade's gone. They would just do a little like, well, what do you have to complain about back when things were better legislatively? And they were able to make things that bad because they were able to convince stupid people that things were good, and the left and the LGBT people, etc., were complaining about nothing, and that, oh, if they're complaining about nothing, then they must want superiority, so let's actually oppress them, because clearly that's what has to happen, right? That's basically the logic that they're following with. Ask them what rights men don't have. Oh, they would have a whole litany of things. They'd talk about family courts. They would talk about the way that society views male disposability. They would talk about like male suicide rates and depression. Oh, they'd have all sorts of things to talk about. They talk about how Hollywood and society hates men now. They've got so many examples to bring up, sociological and supposedly. And in some cases, like the family courts thing, sometimes it is somewhat legislative. They've got all sorts of examples about how men are oppressed, but if you say women are oppressed, they'll be like, it's 2023. How are women oppressed? They've got it better than men. These females are living on easy mode. Anyway. If you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. It really helps out my videos, VODs, channel, etc. a lot more than I think you guys realize. You can also comment down below, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And don't forget to follow my social medias, all linked down below in the description, so that you can find my other activity on other platforms that aren't the one you're watching on now. And of course, don't forget, if you want to support me financially to help me with my move and everything, then you can do so on my website, xanderhall.com/live, by either donating or subscribing, hitting that button up there, or you can support me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.